Hey everyone, it's Jakov, and I'm here today with a new video for the channel. Today's video being a battle replay for The Last Alliance Total War. If you're new here, The Last Alliance Total War is a mod that changes Total War Shogun 2 and overhauls it, setting it in the second age of Middle Earth. It's a mod that I very much recommend you guys play, and that I will leave linked in the video description. Today's battle is a clash between an army of the Orcs of the North, led by Ellan Enish, clashing against the army of the Dwarves of Ered Luin, that is to say the Blue Mountains, led by Illumi. Many thanks to Ellan Enish for sending in the battle replay, I really appreciate it. On the topic of battle replays, if you guys want to send in any battle replays for me to cover, you can feel free to send them to me either via my email, which is linked in both my channel description and my video descriptions, or over Discord, be it the Total War, the Dawnless Days Discord server, or the Last Alliance Total War Discord server, or the Ice and Fire Total War Discord server. Any of those will do, because I'm always on the lookout for new battle replays. If you guys like the sound of Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones kind of battle replays, stick around the channel. I'm pretty sure you might like what you find, and you might consider giving us a like and a subscribe. It may not seem like much, but trust me, it really means the world. With that said, I'm going to put the battle into slow motion, and we'll start by checking out both armies. Oops, I zoomed forward a bit too much there. Turning back, over on this flank of the battlefield, we have two units of the Orc War Wargs of Mount Graham, a new unit added in the most recent update, heavily armoured wargs who are quite a bit more dangerous than the regular kind. Over here, in the middle of the army, the main core of the army, on the flank we've got the Orc Redheads of High Pass, a unique unit to the Orcs of the North. Then behind them we've got two units of the Orc Hunters of Ered Luin, a new unit added in the most recent update. Then in their front lines we've got the Orc Skull Crushers of Gundabad who wear Dwarven equipment. So that's going to make for quite a bit of a grudge match. Very cool shock infantry unit and newly added as of the recent update. They've got a couple units of these guys in the front line. Then behind them they've got the Orc Storm Band who are lesser shock infantry but still pretty professional. They've got a couple units of these guys. So all Orc Storm Band here seems to be. Then behind them they've got units of the Orc Maggot Raiders, which are their starting shock infantry unit, a rabble unit. Then they've also got the Orc Executioners, which are a bit of a step up in terms of armour. And more Orc Executioners. And then behind them they've got the Orc Bodyguard running in, which is their general unit. Which I think is the only sword melee infantry unit they've got here. Then turning back, more Orc Executioners, more Orc Redheads of High Pass, and more Orc Hunters of Ered Luin. So not a lot of range units apart from their skirmishers. And in terms of regular line infantry or spearmen, not too many. So yeah, a bit of an interesting choice for an army. Then turning over here, my mouse seems to be going crazy today, I don't know why. We've got the blue regimented lines of the Dwarves of the Blue Mountains. In the front, we've got the Ered Luin warriors. They're regular line infantry who wield axes and shields, so quite a few units of them. Then behind them they've got the Ered Luin Royal Swordsmen, which are their professional infantry, who are more like tier 3 or so. Mixed in we've got the Ered Luin Belagos Shield Bearers, a very tough and elite sword unit. And then in the middle we've got the Ered Luin Berserkers wielding massive two-handed swords. So a couple of units of those guys. Then we've got their general, Thrain the second Stonefist leading the Firebeard's Guard. Then further down, more Berserkers and more Royal Swordsmen and more Belagos Shield Bearers. And then right at the back we've got the Ered Luin Path's Guard, which is one of their starting spear units. And then next to them we've got more Path's Guard, and more Path's Guard, and more Path's Guard. So it seems like they're keeping their spearmen in reserve. An interesting choice to be sure. I wonder how that's going to play out for them. So we'll see the armies are beginning to approach, so we'll put the battle into normal speed. And just like a bit of a historical battle, you're going to see the battles don't take place on open fields but near buildings and the like. It'll be interesting to see combat occurring near these houses. So Orcs are surging forward. And I really want to see these captured Dwarven hammers go to town on Dwarven armor. It'll make for quite the sight. I noticed that the Dwarven force doesn't have any archers or anything. There's mostly going to be an infantry clash, which is interesting to consider. Fighting about to break out in the trees, and there we go. Battle has been joined. And the Orc Skullcrusher is going to win this. Hands down. Over there, the skirmishers are opening fire, trying to weaken the positions. The War Cavalry is running around the flanks. The Orc Stormband is getting stuck in alongside the Skull Crushers. Okay guys, sorry to start the battle up from here. It's a little bit earlier than where we were, but the battle replay cut out and the video crashed, or the game crashed, so I had to restart. So here we have the forces clashing again. The Orc Redheads engaging with the Royal Swordsmen. I don't reckon the Redheads will be able to survive this, especially given how split up their unit is. This is a very easy way for a unit to be destroyed, especially for spearmen. You don't want to have your units spread out this thin where they can easily be flanked and lined and cut down bit by bit. I do like that as spearmen they are using these kind of glaive-like spears instead of regular ones. And back here we've got the War Wargs of Mount Graham advancing. I'm guessing they're going to try and hit the Path's Guard. The Path's Guard have deployed ready to ward them off. So, no, they're still going for it. The Path's Guard have begun to move. If I was them, I'd redeploy real quick because those War Wargs charge while they're out of formation and it can cause quite a bit of damage. But for now, it seems they've warded them off, and the Orc Redheads over here aren't having a good time of it, being flanked. But now the Royal Swordsmen are going to get flanked by the Maggot Raiders, who, even though they are a rabble unit, getting hit in the back by these guys is not a good thing, especially when you're heavily outnumbered. And now the Hunters of Ered Luin join into the fight too, given that I think they're out of ammunition. I saw one unit of Ered Luin was already wavering back here. The warriors, and just, yeah, look at the ground, it's just littered with their corpses from the Skull Crushers, who have taken severe casualties, but are still more than routing. They've shattered the unit, so they've pushed them back, and the Path's Guard are being forced to deploy to try and hold the line here. So it's cool to see tough Orc units tearing apart lighter infantry, which makes sense. Not every Orc is going to be a rabble unit, and not every Dwarf is going to be Gimli. It's still fighting in amongst the trees, and here the Dwarves are being smart, keeping their units in formation rather than spread out. The ones who are spread out, like these guys, yeah, probably not a great idea. The Royal Swordsmen are duking it out with the Executioners, who are a bit of a lesser infantry unit to face, but they're still losing to them, which makes sense given that, again, out of formation. And then over here, the Orc Stormband fighting the Belagos Shield Bearers. They're probably not going to hold on too long. The Royal Swordsmen here are wavering because they've been swarmed completely by the Redheads and the Orc Hunters. So yeah, this unit's probably not going to be long for this world. And the Path's Guard just getting stuck in with the Stormband, and that's probably not going to last too long. And the more Orc Hunters over there providing fire support. Now my question is, where did the shock infantry of the Dwarves go? Because we've got the warriors here engaging. Where did the two-handed swordsmen go? And it seems like the War Wargs made an attack, and they're making an attack right here, straight into the called out Path's Guard. That's what you want to do. Although I reckon the Path's Guard, it's still a dangerous foe for them to get called out against. But yeah, to their credit, they didn't take too many casualties from that, the War Wargs. Yeah, where are the Dwarves with the two-handed swords? And over here, the Royal Swordsmen have pushed them back. So some of their units are retreating, but they can return to the... well, I was going to say they can, but that unit just completely shattered. These Orc Hunters, they can shatter them. That's a good unit to take out, given that's going to be a lot of infantry return to the battle very quickly. And the War Wargs, they're pulling out, trying not to get caught up by the Spearmen. And then over here, the War Wargs are Yeah, they're going to be cycle charging straight into their back. And here we are following their charge straight into the spearmen, which probably wasn't the greatest unit to smash into, especially given they were facing them head on. And yeah, you don't want to waste the limited numbers of cavalry that you've got getting stuck in like this. Now what I want to hear from you guys is what you think the backstory is to this battle. How the Orcs of the North came to fight the Dwarves of the Blue Mountains. I think just a typical Orc raid into their territory. Dwarves filled the army to stop it, and now we're watching the aftermath of that clash. But you guys let me know what you think. Turning back to this flank of the battlefield. So one unit of Path's Guard is doing remarkably well for being outnumbered this bad, but if these war wargs take them in the rear, they're doomed. And that'll actually have a big knock-on effect to the battle, because it'll allow these Orc Hunters of Ered Luin to deploy, and all this infantry to swing around here. And yep, they're coming in, and this unit's not going to be long for... Whoa, what happened with the charge there? They stopped just before they engaged them, then apparently they did charge them. That's a bit weird. It's odd to consider that the Dwarves purely have infantry with no range support or cavalry support, and the Orcs have very good cavalry and good range units. And the unit is... yeah, they're not going to be sticking around long. Over here, the Orc Executioners are being worn down by the Royal Swordsmen. Going to want to finish that off very quickly before the rest of the units deploy. More Orc Executioners here. War Wargs have gotten stuck in with the Path's Guard, falling back again. Yeah, the roving wolves really are the most dangerous thing that they've got. And the Skull Crushers are finally being cut down. There's a unit I'm going to be interested in seeing their kill count. Back over here in the main lines, Orc Bodyguard still deploying, and the... actually they can kill the Bodyguard, but they might stand a good chance of winning the battle because they'll take out the enemy general. So I'd focus on these guys, honestly. And then over here, the Path's Guard are not doing too bad against the Orc Hunters of Ered Luin, who, despite being more heavily armoured than the Dwarves, aren't readily able to hold on to them or beat them in a battle. And just looking over here, we can see the long line of corpses. We can see how the battle's extended north over here. And just, yeah, casualties everywhere. So yeah, between the Path's Guard, the Royal Swordsmen, and the Belagos Shield Bearers, this bodyguard unit's actually doing fairly well. More Belagos Shield Bearers deploying. Path's Guard. Where are the shock infantry? Did they all die really early on before I noticed? Yeah, that's weird. Orc Executioners is engaging in duels with the Dwarves. The War Wargs running away again, but probably coming back for another charge. And then over here, Path's Guard have routed, and the Warriors are doing well against the Orc Redheads. And just as I say that, a cycle charge comes straight in that's going to break the damn unit. Again, focus down the enemy cavalry. They're the biggest threat that they're facing. They've already lost 2 units that probably would have won the battle there. That is nasty how effective these War Wargs are. Now they're deploying the Path's Guard, but yeah, that's just not, it's not great. And the Orc Bodyguard are still duking it out, and the War Wargs have come in to save them, which is smart, but yeah, just didn't realise this Orc Bodyguard unit would be this damn tough. And they're going to go in for another charge, which is smart. Or perhaps they're pulling back to support more units. 2 units of the Orc Hunters of Ered Luin gathering over here. Royal Swordsmen skirmishing them down. But yeah, this unit's not going to go well. Yeah, charged. Belagos Shieldbearer swinging around to take the redheads from the rear. But then the War Wargs are going to take them in the rear. Pathguard are getting shot apart by the skirmishers. Yeah, I'm reckoning that the Orcs are probably going to win this. Unless the Dwarves break the Orc bodyguard, who is still enduring and if anything seems to be winning. Like, he is surrounded by 2 elite units, I think, or is it down to 1? No, it's 2 elite units. Oh my god, the Dwarven General Unit Thrain is down to a single Dwarf. Their General. They got to get him out of there, because if he dies, they've lost their General. I would not be keeping him in this battle. If Thrain falls, everything's lost. But yeah, that's crazy that they're down to just 1 unit for their General. And he's still sticking around, duking it out. But he's probably going to die now when the War Wargs smash into him. Yeah, these War Wargs are just phenomenal. And I'm pretty sure they killed the General then and there. Surprising to think, the shock cavalry units really haven't lost much in the way of numbers. Redheads on high pass are surrounded on both sides. They've got to break real quick if the Dwarves are going to be able to swing around to face off against these War Wargs. But I doubt it. Yep, and here comes the charge. Straight into their backs. Hammer and anvil, and the pass guard have warded off the rest of the Orc Hunters, but the unit's going to break. Yep, they break before they can even engage. The Orc Redheads are still holding on, and cavalry is just bouncing around the battlefield. Orc Bodyguard's going to survive this one, it seems, as the Royal Luin, that's the Ered Luin Royal Swordsmen, seem to fall back and flee. And just look at it. Corpses of blue everywhere. Intermixed with Dwarves, sure, but I'd say the Dwarves really took the worst of this engagement. Still the Spearmen are there holding on. The other unit of War Wargs smash into them. And still, yeah, the unit's about to break, I reckon. And once these guys go out with the added support of fire straight into their backs, that's not going to do wonders for them. And do they break them? Yes, they finally broke the Spearmen, and now they're about to engage the Hunters. But the Hunters instead retreat, which is smart, and now they're going to get caught out by cavalry from two attacks, 2 directions. And yeah, the War Wargs, they're probably going to handle these guys very quickly. Especially once they take them from the rear. I will say though, after this battle, I wouldn't be surprised if the Orcs of the North have a lot more Dwarven equipment in their roster, given the sheer number of enemies that they've killed today. And the Royal Swordsmen, they're going to get charged by the War Wargs. For some reason they've just taken up position here. Not going to do much to them because there goes their entire formation, just ripped asunder. And the Orc General gets stuck into. And there goes the unit, shattered completely. The general, I think, maybe taking one casualty from that engagement. Units swing around, but yeah, the battle's over. The units there broke, and it's a costly victory for the Orcs of the North. Gee, I'd say so, but they still smashed the hell out of the enemy army at the end of the day. Very good job, Ellan Enish. Anyway, we're going to end the battle, but we're going to check out the stats to see how both armies did. I'd be interested in seeing the numbers, because it's kind of obvious the Orcs had more infantry, but even so, I didn't expect it to be that kind of lopsided. Yeah, we'll just wait for the loading screen. Love that contrast of like the dark bluish green and grey, the Numenorians with the red of the Haradrim. So yeah, looking at the Orcs, they had 600 more soldiers at 3,600 compared to 3,000. They lost a fair portion of them, only had 1,000 left compared to the Dwarves only had 500 left. And both sides killed very similar numbers, which I'm surprised. We're going to go to unit statistics. Orc bodyguard killed 228, only suffering 124. It's very good. The Orc hunters of Ered Luin, they didn't do that great, all things considered. Except these guys. These guys got 94 kills and didn't suffer anything, but just having range support in general is useful, and they bought time by forcing the Dwarven units to engage them. So it was still useful even though they didn't get great kills. War Wargs of Mount Graham only took a handful of casualties but killed 181 and 282. It's very useful. The Skull Crushers, both their units took heavy casualties but killed almost 260 and 300 apiece. That's fantastic. This one got 246, still good. All three of their units did amazing. The Orc Storm Band, they didn't do too good. Just in general, they took fairly high casualties. Didn't really kill that many in exchange. This one got 101 and 108. That's not too bad, but the cost of an entire unit, I wouldn't say so. The Orc Maggots Raiders, the sole rebel unit, only got 34 kills at the expense of the whole unit. It's not really surprising. Executioners, they almost broke even on both times, so that's alright. And then the Orc Redheads of High Pass didn't get too many kills, all things considered, but generally held out and bought time for the rest of their army, so that's something there. Turning to the Dwarven force, Thrain's unit was entirely destroyed, but he killed 190, so not too bad, but not as good as the Orc bodyguard. Then the Ered Luin Berserkers got annihilated and barely killed any units, so very disappointing, like really. The Ered Luin Belagos Shield Bearers, they did pretty good, each scoring over 200 kills apiece. Royal Swordsmen, they did alright. They all broke even at least. And this one got 420 kills, which is absolutely amazing, 200 kills. Yeah, okay, ignore what I was going to say. Yeah, the Royal Swordsmen did really good. At minimum breaking even, at best doing fantastic. Ered Luin Warriors, they did pretty poorly, suffering high casualties for the most part, except for this one and this one. These two did good, so a mixed bag. 182 kills, 199, that's pretty good. And the Path's Guard, 153 kills for such a weaker unit, and especially Spearmen. That's not bad at all. 55, that's more in line with what I was expecting. This one got 46, which is pretty poor, but then 176, it's great. So yeah, the Dwarves actually did pretty well too, in most cases. So yeah, there we have it, guys. Clash between the Orcs of the North and the Dwarves of the Blue Mountains. And it seems the Blue Mountains have turned red. If you guys have enjoyed this video, as I said earlier, please give us a like and a subscribe and stick around the channel. I know it may not seem like much to you guys, but because we are such a tiny channel here, every little bit of support really does mean the world. So again, like and subscribe if you can. Rest assured, more videos, including more battle replays for this mod and many others, will be coming up in the near future. So with all that said, this is your host, Jakov, signing out.